And they both think America is sleeping. America is not sleeping. I don't sleep. I barely sleep. Ask anybody. This is not about Biafra. This is not about IPOB. This is about one man being denied justice while his government smiles at the cameras and shakes our hands at the United Nations. That's not a friend. That's a fraud. Free Nnamdi Kanu or face the consequences. Tremendous consequences. The kind only I know how to deliver. This is not about politics. Nnamdi Kanu locked up in a dungeon. Very clear. A British citizen. And nobody is talking about it. I'm talking about it. Because that's what I do. I talk about the things nobody wants to talk about. Nigeria, listen to me very carefully. You have 72 hours. 72 hours to release this man, or we are going to sanction you so hard your naira will make your own economist cry. And believe me, it doesn't take much, it's already crying. Buhari started this. Tinubu is continuing it. This is not about the movement he led. This is not about the ideology he espoused or the cause he championed on Radio Biafra. Reasonable people can disagree about all of that. Reasonable people do disagree. But there is one thing that reasonable people cannot disagree about, and that is the right of every human being, regardless of their political views, to a fair hearing before an independent court of law. That is not a Western value. That is not an American value. That is a universal value, and it is being denied. The circumstances of Kanu's rendition from Kenya in 2021 remain deeply troubling to this administration. He was transported back to Nigeria without any formal extradition process, without judicial oversight, without transparency. That is not how nations that respect the rule of law operate. And the federal government of Nigeria has never provided a satisfactory explanation for how that rendition was carried out or who authorized it. The silence on that question is itself an answer. Now, I have enormous respect for Nigeria. Let me say that clearly and on the record. Nigeria is a significant partner of the United States. It is the largest economy on the African continent. It has a young, dynamic, and extraordinarily talented population. The Nigerian American community contributes immensely to the fabric of this country every single day in our hospitals, our universities, our courtrooms, our laboratories. The relationship between our two nations matters. It has mattered for decades, and it is precisely because it matters that we must be honest with each other when something is wrong. Something is wrong here. The Nigerian Court of Appeal is currently reviewing Kanu's case, and we acknowledge that. We respect the judicial process. We are not calling for interference in Nigeria's courts. What we are calling for is accountability. We are calling for transparency. That is not how nations that respect the rule of law operate. And the federal government of Nigeria has never provided a satisfactory explanation for how that rendition was carried out or who authorized it. The silence on that question is itself an answer. Now, I have enormous respect for Nigeria. Let me say that clearly and on the record. Nigeria is a significant partner of the United States. It is the largest economy on the African continent. It has a young, dynamic, and extraordinarily talented population. The Nigerian American community contributes immensely to the fabric of this country every single day. In our hospitals, our universities, our courtrooms, our laboratories, the relationship between our two nations matters. It has mattered for decades, and it is precisely because it matters that we must be honest with each other when something is wrong. Something is wrong here. The Nigerian Court of Appeal is currently reviewing Kanu's case, and we acknowledge that. We respect the judicial process. We are not calling for interference in Nigeria's courts. What we are calling for is accountability. We are calling for transparency. We are calling for the kind of proceedings that Nigerians themselves, millions of ordinary Nigerians, have been demanding in the streets and on social media and in every space where free people speak their minds. The legal proceedings surrounding this case have raised serious concerns at multiple levels. Questions about judicial independence, questions about the conduct of the prosecution, questions about whether the charges, particularly under the Terrorism Prevention Act, were applied appropriately given the nature of the alleged offenses. These are not questions invented by foreign governments or hostile commentators. These are questions raised by respected members of Nigeria's own legal community, senior advocates, constitutional scholars, and civil society organizations operating on the ground in Nigeria. Britain has a particular responsibility here that I will also name directly. Nnamdi Kanu carries a British passport. He is a British national. The United Kingdom has diplomatic tools and bilateral obligations that, in our assessment, have not been deployed with the urgency this situation demands. We urge our British partners to take a more active and vocal stance, not to lecture, not to impose, but to engage, to use the channels available to them, to make clear to the Nigerian government that the treatment of their citizen is being watched and will be remembered. The United States is reviewing its posture on this matter. We are in active consultation with relevant agencies and departments regarding what additional steps may be appropriate if the situation does not show meaningful progress in the coming weeks. I want to be responsible in how I characterize those steps. Nothing has been finalized. No decision has been announced. But the review is real, and the concern is real, and the Nigerian government should be under no illusion that this issue will simply fade from our attention. We are also engaging multilateral partners. The African Union has a role to play. The ECOWAS Court has already made pronouncements that deserve serious consideration. Regional bodies cannot continue to issue rulings and recommendations that member states simply disregard without consequence. If the architecture of African human rights protection is to mean anything, it must mean something in cases like this one. High profile, politically charged, and precisely the kind of test that reveals whether institutions stand for principles or merely for convenience. To the people of Nigeria, especially those in the Southeast who have watched this case with anguish and frustration, the United States sees you. Your concerns are legitimate. Your demand for justice is legitimate. Your demand for justice is legitimate. And your desire for a Nigeria where the law applies equally to every citizen, regardless of ethnicity or political opinion, is a desire we fully support. To the government of Nigeria, we extend a hand, not a fist. A hand. We want to work with you. We want this relationship to grow and deepen. But relationships built on mutual respect require honesty. And honesty requires us to say clearly, today, that the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu, without a credible resolution to his legal proceedings, is a matter of serious and sustained concern to the United States of America. The clock is not a threat. The clock is simply time. And time, as every government eventually learns, does not wait.